Again, so to provide a little bit of context behind this, most of this came from like this idea of just like, oh, if I made a blog post that kind of like, this would be the introductory line or introductory info, like kind of thing. So I old high school writing came back in where it's just like, okay, you gotta write a hook, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So just know that this is where it's coming from. I wrote it like I was trying to write an essay paper. Okay. And again, some of this, this is part of my story. I want to preface that as much as I can. This is part of my story. And there's some stuff in it that, again, not exactly most proud of, but it's just kind of part of the community, part of the world, and part of my journey. So just kind of wanted to share that before I start diving into the full story. It is 16 pages that I've written. And I do need to probably adjust some names here and there, but nonetheless, I'll go ahead and get started. All right. So I am a trans woman. I know that seems like a statement that is filled with controversy, politics, and so many other things. Wherever you stand on this issue, I just want to share my story, which of course starts in my childhood. I remember as a kid being enthralled with my sister's dance recitals. I loved their tutus, just the way they were so pretty, so beautiful, and I just wanted to be like them. When we got home, they would put the tutus in our little dress-up box. It's where we would store our costumes and those kinds of things. And I got so excited and immediately put them on. And I felt like this cute little ballerina and was so happy and so giddy. And I just wanted to share this with my siblings. So I put together a little fashion show. We all gathered in my little bedroom. We went into the closet and grabbed we went to the closet, grabbed a costume, and we would come out and show each other what we were wearing. When I went to the closet, I grabbed a tutu and I was so excited to show my siblings. And when I came out of the closet to show my siblings, show my siblings, I thought I was cute. But my parents walked in and they were mortified. I was scolded and told that those clothes were meant for girls, not for boys. I remember just my heart dropping and feeling sad that I was not allowed to wear something I loved. It didn't stop me from dressing up, but I proceeded to do so in secret. For years, I would sneak around, take my sister's clothing, and whenever I was alone, I would dress up and just walk around my room or house dressed up if I was home alone. At around age 13, I started to wonder who I was and I was like, oh my gosh, some of my writing is just not the greatest. At around age 13, I started to wonder who I was and what it would mean to be a man. After an incident where my mom found the clothing that I took for my sisters, she confronted me and asked if I was gay. I wasn't. I just really liked being dressed up like a girl.
New donation from Jen Snakel.
Thank you
Holy
so
moly.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I seriously, I appreciate it. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So, yeah, I just really like being dressed up as a girl. And she asked if I needed therapy. I was terrified because at that time, I was thinking they would lock me up into an asylum. This was back in around the early 2000s where going to therapy was seen as there was a huge stigma around going to any type of therapy. And from that point on, I actually was trying to stop. I tried to stop, but I would continue to go back to this habit. It made me wonder if I was gay. I looked up if being a crossdresser meant I was gay, and that was when I came across the term transgender. I had never heard this term before in my life, and I wanted to learn more. I grew up in a Christian household and was taught and memorized passages like, all human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. Each is a beloved spirit, son or daughter of heavenly parents, and as such, each has a divine nature and destiny. Gender is an essential characteristic of individual, premortal, mortal, and eternal identity and purpose. I felt like I was in a game of tug of war, where I found that I wasn't alone, that there were other people out there like me who wished to be the other gender. Then the other part of me was telling me that it was wrong and that it is going against God's creation. All throughout puberty, I would fall into this trap of feeling free and happy, then shame and scorning myself for succumbing to temptation. I remembered one night after watching Speed Racer, the Speed Racer movie, that I would be more than happy to fake my death like Racer X, go have plastic surgery, and change my gender by any means necessary. But like every idea and fantasy a 13-year-old had, there were a lot of holes in that idea. I love my family, and I didn't want to hurt them, and having them grieve my death was a bit too dramatic. So what was I supposed to do? I did what a lot of people in my situation try to do. I tried to live my life as a man, and tried not to give in. I avoided anything and everything that could be considered girly. Played sports and generally tried to keep myself busy, but time and time again, the need to dress up came back. This went on for years, and I got really good at hiding things. I wasn't caught again for cross-dressing, and on the surface, I looked and seemed like just another guy who played way too many video games. But deep down, I was hurting. I was yearning to be something that I was told I was. I was yearning to be something that I was, and something that I was told was wrong. And I prayed every night to God to take this away from me. He generally did answer my prayers in one way, shape, or form, and I truly had faith that he could make me whole. So after high school, I actually served a church mission. I served in Sendai, Japan, where while I was spreading the gospel, the need to dress up came and I had no way to address it. I remember how hard those nights were needing to be feminine, how I wished I was a girl, then the next breath condemn myself for wanting to be a girl when I was born a man. Those nights led me into a depression that got me actually very sick. I lost my appetite. My will to continue on was on a steep decline. It was as if the entire world had slowly lost its color and was steadily going monochromatic.
Posture check.
Thank you for the posture check. Which, forewarning, this is where we're going to now get into some darker territory, okay? Just a heads up, everybody, okay? So if you suffer from something, if you suffer from depression or anything like that and you need to go away, I completely understand. All right, continuing on. I was depressed. Any way that I could possibly think to express it, I was afraid it would be misinterpreted. As a missionary, you forego matters of the world, and this includes reading books outside what the church has deemed as appropriate for missionaries, no watching TV or movies, save it was a church video, and no video games. Being in Japan, surrounded by anime and manga, then I was told that I'm not allowed to read it, watch it, was hard. The solace I was able to take, the only solace I had was I was able to collect little gacha trinkets. I started collecting some Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards until my missionary companion decided that we were going to stop cold turkey. It seemed like every foothold I had to some form of sanity was being taken away. After weeks of darkness, they got me a therapist. I spoke with a therapist and they diagnosed me with depression. I was hopeful that things would get better, but it didn't. I felt like I was becoming a liability, and I was. There were a few nights where I was ready to walk out and just end it all. I was sitting in church preparing a note. My companion saw it and reported it to our mission president, and I was sent home later that week to get more urgent help. When I came home and talked to a therapist about why I was so depressed, they concluded that it was partially because of the amount of pressure I felt as a missionary, and not being able to cope, to try and be perfect, bearing the weight of the world, trying to find people to teach, and being confronted with failure after failure with no outlet led to my spiral. And to me, that made a lot of sense. And I thought that in time, I'd be able to continue on and find happiness. When I got home and after I was released, one of the first things I did that now I could finally be alone was cross-dress. I can't tell you how freeing it felt. After 8 months away, I finally felt whole. All those months hating myself and not being able to do anything. This brought me a deep inner peace that had been absent for so long. But the cycle began again, but with newer lows. I would stoop to anything to be rid of this need. I got into pornography and eventually discovered the world of sissies. Probably like you, I thought sissy was a childlike insult for like being a wuss, but this was something else. To put in simple terms, it's where a man is either forced or coerced into being a girl. They would also do jobs like secretary work, be a maid, or just students learning on how to be feminine. Of course, since it's a kink, it was that a sissy was always submissive and obedient. Being a sissy was alluring. It was like a route for me to be a girl with some sort of justification. Like I was forced into it, or it's just a kink. The thing that being a sissy helped me with was finding a form of acceptance that I never experienced before. That acceptance pushed me to try some things I enjoyed and others that disgusted me. In the end, it was a form of denial. This cycle continued until around 2017. I was 2 years into college. I've been studying illustration and just finished an assignment for perspective art. The need to dress up was coming on again. I was stuck at a Christian university in a small town in Idaho in the middle of winter. Not sure what to do, I did what I could. I prayed. But instead of asking God to get rid of this for me, like I have done before, I asked what I should do. I tried to deny it and live my life as a man, denying that I was trans. Am I supposed to continue doing this? Or is there something else that I need to do? I pleaded just for guidance when I felt what I had to do or what I needed to do. It wasn't this lightning strike of a moment, but more like a sunrise of comfort, slowly and steadily warming my heart, that I need to accept that I am trans. I knew that this is what God needed me to know. I got up from that prayer feeling lighter. I remember looking out at the snow-covered ground outside my apartment window that my life was going to change. I wasn't sure if I was ready for it, but I knew that this was the right path. I started coming out to my friends and family, and overall was pretty well received. The only one that was adamant that I was making a mistake was my mother. We would get into disagreement after disagreement, especially since after that year of school, I dropped out of college. She thought I was ruining my life from quitting college and wanting to transition while I was living at home. It got to the point that during a trip to see my sister, during the 4-hour car ride we had it out, and she told me that I was destroying her eternal family. That blow hit me the hardest. I knew I couldn't deny that I am trans, and hiding it or denying it was killing me. During the car ride, we did apologize and agreed that this was hard. Once we got home and talked to my dad gave me the real counsel I needed at that time. He told me that it didn't matter if I was trans or not. What I need to focus on is how am I going to be able to live and support myself. I was working but blowing my money on some frivolous things. In every aspect, I was lost in the sea of life, not sure what to do. I knew a few things. That one, my dad was right. I need to be able to find a way to live on my own. Dating as a trans woman, specifically as a lesbian, would be hard if not impossible, and I needed a purpose. So, I started pursuing a career in voice acting. In October, I won an award at MGM Grand as their star of the show, which earned me a free night at an MGM property and a free meal. I used this to attend Otakon, an anime con that I went to with my friend the year before. He was on his mission now, but I did have a great time, so I decided to try the con again. But the only panels that had my interests were these panels about voice acting. This lit a fire in me. This lit a fire in me to learn all I could, and was even able to take classes at the voice actor studio. I took their intro to voice acting course and knew that I wanted to get into a voice acting career. For the next few months, I took classes to learn all the different facets of the industry. While I was learning, I also started trying to date. The girl I started dating, we'll call her Rhea. Rhea was trying to get into videography. We met through a speed dating event that our church held, and after the event, she came over and asked me for my number. I agreed because I thought she was cute, and no one had ever really raced up to me. We went on a group date to do karaoke. Overall, things seemed pretty good. We set up a second date, and well, that one was a rather physical date. Apparently, she was upset that her roommate was able to have a makeout session during our group date. Now, for me personally, I don't usually make out with someone unless we are boyfriend and girlfriend, like when something more it's more committed. Physical affection for me is a lot. Physical affection for me means a lot to me emotionally. So for me, being a naive 22-year-old who had very little dating experience, thought that she was wanting to take this to the next level. So to my shock, when we went on our third date, she told me that she didn't want us to be boyfriend or girlfriend, but we could be makeout buddies. Now, I'm not a perfect person or a very socially smart individual. With her being the first girl I kissed and made out with since I was 16, I agreed to the situation with the hope of it turning into something more down the line. After I agreed, we didn't see each other for a while. We texted on and off for a few days, and then I got a text message from her asking me for a few days, and then out of the blue, I got text from her asking if this was me, and sent me a picture of a Facebook account I made posting pics of my feminine self. My heart dropped. I thought that the world was over, that she would send this to everyone in church and I would be outed. We called and talked about it, and she was more confused rather than disgusted. Essentially, it boiled down to that she didn't hate me, she thought it was weird and it was something I should stop. I told her I would, and we started hanging out again. Now, there would be sessions, and I remember I was getting ready to go out of town to visit my friend. Right before I left, Rhea's mom came down to visit and wanted me to meet her. I was excited, thinking that this could be a chance to move the relationship to beyond makeout buddies. I met with her mom and we hit it off. I was friendly and the perfect gentleman. I excused myself and told them that I had to go because I was going to be visiting a friend, and made my way to pack. I was out of state for a few days, and while I was away, Rhea texted me that she was open to the idea of trying our relationship again. I was ecstatic, but that happiness did not last long. When I got back, she texted me that she was alone and having a tough time. I went over to her place as fast as I could. Got there and she told me she essentially lost her videographer job, and she felt like she was lost, that she had no purpose. She really started spiraling hard to the point where she grabbed the knife and was going to hurt herself. I jumped in and took the knife away from her and sat with her. I tried to help her as best as I could because I felt something similar during my mission. I remember a cold night sitting in front of the door ready to walk out and jump in front of a train. I stayed with her the entire night. I didn't get any sleep, and it was the closest I'd ever come to having sex at that point in my life. She wanted us to have sex because she thought it would make her feel better. An alarm was sounding off in my head, and yes, I was tempted, but I knew with every fiber of my being that it was wrong. I stepped out and slept on the couch, but my eyes never left the door. I eventually had to go to work and asked if she would be okay. She told me her roommate would be back home in a few minutes. With that and a prayer, she didn't do anything stupid. I went home, showered, and got ready for work. In the middle of my shift, her roommate texted me telling me that Rhea checked herself into an institution. I was both scared and relieved. Scared at how bad her mental state was and relieved that she was getting the help that she needed. A couple weeks later, she was able to check out and was on medication. She looked like a zombie and was dejected. I wanted to do something for her, so I talked with my mom and we invited her to join us for our family reunion at Disneyland. I was thinking, what better place to take her up than taking her to the happiest place on earth. This turned out to be the worst trip to Disney in my entire life. So I gave up my room for her at the Airbnb and I slept on the couch. My family was loving and tried to include her in all the activities. They poked fun at me as siblings do overall, and overall we were having a good time. And we were ready to hit the parks. After the first day of fun at Disneyland, after dinner, she told me that she saw no future. This was day one of a 4-day trip at Disney. To say that the rest of the trip was hard is an understatement. For the next few days, she seemingly got closer to my family. I was going through a crisis on my own. I was doing everything I could. I wasn't expecting us to go beyond boyfriend-girlfriend on this trip, but to say that on the first day felt like she was telling me that I am not good enough, so stop trying. Those days were long and felt like I was walking around in a haze. I put on a mask so that everything was fine. On the last day, Rhea was wanting to go out to eat, so we found a restaurant and we ate there alone. She proceeded to tell me that she didn't want me as a boyfriend, that she doesn't see a future together, but would like to be friends. When we got into the car, I broke down. I sobbed and I had my first full-fledged panic attack in the car in front of her. I couldn't breathe and I was a wreck, holding onto the steering wheel for my dear life because it felt like I had lost everything. She didn't accept me. She rejected me after I tried to change. I was at nuclear level bad, and she just sat there watching me break down. Not a word, nothing to comfort me, just sat there watching. The next day, we drove home and I dropped her off and tried the friends thing, but it didn't work out. It led to myself being hurt more because I felt like that no one would love me or accept me. The final straw was that we were at a church event. I went in and asked if she was going to be there. She said yes, and I thought it'd be cool if we could sit next to each other, which I got no reply from her. I sat in the pew and waited. When I saw her come in, I waved and she ignored me. Another panic attack was incoming, and it built over the course of the church event. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked out early and had my panic attack in my car. She messaged me asking where I was. I told her the truth, that I was having a panic attack in my car. I saw everyone getting out and her car was conveniently parked right behind mine. I saw her walk over to her car and sit on the hood to look over the valley. I asked if I could get a hug from her. I saw her look at her phone because she was trying to take a selfie. And it was just a moment before that I saw a message and she turned off her phone. She didn't care about me in any way, shape, or form. What was the point? If she didn't care about me, I thought nobody would. That was what I thought, and I offered to home ready to end it all. But God being there, through God's good grace, I was stopped because my parents were home, and that's where I broke down and told them everything. Showed them the scars I had, and my parents gave me the hug. And I just remember finally feeling loved and accepted. It took a week and I finally texted Rhea that I can't be friends with her, then proceeded to block her on every social media account I could. And apparently, my sisters told me the following week she had a boyfriend an hour away, and it made that update on her Facebook a day after I blocked her. Luckily, I was on the upswing and I felt vindicated in my blocking. So, it took me some time after that to be ready to date again. So I started focusing on voice acting. I took several more classes and was getting closer to my demo reel. And I thought I should try and take a trip to Japan. After my experience with Rhea, I knew I needed to go on a path of cleansing. I had my trip planned and I left December 27th. And I was there for about 2 weeks. I went to Comiket, saw Tokyo. One of my favorite spots was Akihabara for a lot of reasons. And one of the stores there I found girl clothes that they sold to guys. It was amazing, and I got myself some of the cutest clothing, some of the cutest pajamas, and after that trip, I was even more determined to transition. I had a game plan in mind. I was going to save money, bank some sperm, then start HRT. When I got back, I even decided to try dating again, and went on a date with a girl, let's call her Risa. Risa was also an actor and was joining a Supernatural fan film that they were hoping could be like a spin-off series of Supernatural. I was introduced to a lot of cool people, and the director even got me a better job that was closer to home. To be honest, the entire filming and planning of the series was pure chaos, and editing was not good at all. But we all signed on at the beginning because she had a lot of connections to the cast and crew of the original Supernatural cast. And it was fun meeting and connecting with everyone. Until hostility started breaking out. From the crew complaining about everyone's schedules and that we were replaceable, which led to all the actors saying, "Fine then," and we all left. And the show has never been made. Once we all left the set, all the relationships went down in one way, shape, or form. For me, Risa, our relationship ended primarily because she wasn't completely honest with me. Don't get me wrong, Risa was very sweet, very kind, and very accepting, especially when I told her that I was trans. We hit it off in the beginning, but as time went on, there were some problems that I just couldn't get past. Primarily, it was her not telling me the full truth of her situation from work and everything else, to where one night, one of my friends called me and told me that she was drunk. Then showed me some receipts of Risa making a pass at this friend while we were together. So this time, me being mature enough and hoping the best for her when she was sober, I called her up and ended the relationship and advised her to get some therapy. Not for me, but for herself. That one still stung, but not as bad as Rhea's, and she did help me know what I wanted to find in my future spouse. Someone who's accepting of me and honest with me. The next girl I dated was just one of those things. At this point, it's November of 2019. I am single again and just getting back into the saddle of things. And getting excited about the final Star Wars film in the new trilogy. I was hopeful, since they couldn't make it worse than the last one. Or so I thought. And at this point, I was getting better at dating. I had the perfect first date template. I was at a church activity where this girl, we'll call her Ava, walked up and started talking to me. Things went good overall, so I asked her on a first date to go and have some ice cream. Long story short, we went out, we had a good time, and we had a second date to see the Star Wars film. Second day, and she was honest with me. Let me backtrack here a sec. I had a good time and had a second date to see Star Wars. And that second date, she was very honest with me. She told me that she had been divorced twice and that she wasn't sure if she was going to get married again. She was open to the idea, but let's try and make sure that we keep dating fun and try to get to know each other. For me, that sounded more than fair, and we stayed in that dating phase for a long time. How long? Well, COVID hit, and we couldn't find other people to date. So we dated for over a year. During this time, we said, "I love you." We were unofficially boyfriend and girlfriend. Thought everything was going well until we got halfway through the pandemic, when we had our first real fight. To quickly summarize it, she essentially claimed that every homosexual was touched at some point in their life. Now, I have gay friends and I know their history very well. I refuted it and even brought up the fact that I called myself trans and I was never touched in that way by anyone. She took this that I was attacking her very character and that I was wrong. This should have been the sign that I needed to leave. But once I get into a relationship, I change and adapt to the person I am dating with. So we align, which in all honesty had done so much damage to me that I never realized until after I was away and with now my amazing wife. Now, Ava is a self-published author. One part of me thinks she dated me so she could have a voice actor narrate her audiobook at a fraction of the cost, and I was too blind to say no. When it came to the author and voice actor relationship, I hated it and started hating her book. Several of our arguments after that were my honest opinions of her book. She asked me what I thought so far, and I told her that if her target was for young teenager, I thought it was good because some of the verbiage she used would work better in that category, like referring to bracers as arm guards. She really didn't like that, and I felt that the story was off to me. She was trying to make basically an isekai into a high fantasy world where they didn't have magic. They had gifts. She was an adamant believer that magic is the dark arts. Now, we come from the same faith as one of the best fantasy selling authors known for his complex magic systems in modern times. Yet she loves Harry Potter. It was her way of trying to be creative and avoid magic. We also never kissed each other, and then there was anime. She hated anime. To be honest, I do believe that if it wasn't for COVID, I would have jumped ship sooner. Especially when she then said that every anime fan is addicted to porn. Did I watch anime? Yes. Did I have a struggle with porn? Yes. Did it stem from watching anime? No. It stemmed from my inability to accept being trans and use pornography and masturbation to alleviate gender dysphoria. So, as we were getting into the summer of 2021, my family was moving, and with them, I found a school that taught audio engineering. I enrolled because I believe that when voice acting is slow, I can default to audio engineering as a way to pay the bills. And it will help cut down my editing time for the audiobooks I was working on. So I moved down to Arizona and pursued my education. I did go back to visit Ava a few times to go on dates and discuss our future together. I did want to get married, but she was adamant that we weren't going to get married. So, of course, I prayed and asked, what should I do? And in October that year, I got a resounding prompt that I will be married within the next year. So, I had a plan in my head. I was going to ask Ava one more time, and if she said no, I needed to end things and start dating again. So, I called her up, I asked, and she said no. When I hung up, I bawled my eyes out. She gaslit me. She hated all my likes and interests, took advantage of my voice acting and lack of resume in voice acting to undercharge / not pay me for my services. Yet, I loved her.
Posture check.
I took the time needed to mourn and move on. And a month later is when I found the true love of my life. 1 month later, I went on a date with the amazing Melly, also known as Maggie Elise. That is her voice acting name. We met through a dating app, and we matched partially because we both had voice actor in our profile. She looked super cute and was so kind and cheerful. We went out on our first date, and I can remember that day. At school, we had to take a proficiency test for each audio console we used. I was cycle 3, and in that it was time for us to learn our first and do our first audio console proficiency, the Neotech Elite. We had our date scheduled, and after my test, I dressed nice, and I had the date scheduled for after my test. I dressed nice, so that way, as soon as I was done with the test, I could leave, go pick her up, and we could go on our date. So one of the teachers remarked on that I was dressed awfully sharp for a test. I then told him that I had a date after, and then as soon as I said we had a date, he understood. I went in and I passed that proficiency test with only one mistake. Feeling great, I made my way over to pick Melly up for our date. She walked out looking even cuter than her profile picture. I held the door open opened for her and ushered her into my car. Then I drove us over to an ice cream shop. We literally spent hours talking about everything. It was one of those moments you read about in love stories. How time flies and that you just never want the night to end. We had ice cream and we walked around the temple and 2 parks. We just didn't want to be apart from one another. But as the night drew on, I had to get her home before midnight. I dropped her off and asked if she would like to go on another date on Saturday. She readily agreed. I finished school that Friday and my shift, and we were constantly texting. Saturday finally came and she wanted to show me some of her favorite places around. We went to a smoothie place called Clean Juice, then ate at her favorite place called Muggsy Dogs. After we ate and... Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Yeah. After we ate, we went and saw the movie Dune. And during the entire movie, we snuggled together. After the movie, I asked her if she wanted to go to church at my church building, and she agreed. We went to church together and the chemistry was there. We snuggled in the pew together and I remember thinking that I was truly smitten. I looked over at her and she planted a quick kiss on me. I was so shocked in the best way possible. I had not gotten a kiss in 3 years and I was ready to wait, but that kiss rocked my world. We left church and went back to one of the parks we walked around the couple days before. We snuggled on the bench together, and then we did a good, long, proper kiss, and the sparks were just flying. I eventually dropped her off at home, and we agreed on another date the following day. It was a cute little picnic where I tried to make her favorite sandwich from scratch. She loved the effort I put in, and we had the talk. We became boyfriend and girlfriend later that afternoon, and we literally spent every single day together. We just couldn't possibly be apart. When I told Millie about my cross-dressing, at first she was very skeptical and unsure what to do with the information. Over time, we have been able to discuss my history and hardships with me being trans, all of the pain I had to endure. But Millie's love truly knows no bounds. She loved me truly and fully. That's essentially where the story ends. On the written paper, the story continues on in every day. We got married, we have built a life together, and I am extremely blessed to have someone who really loves and supports me through all this. It is through Millie's love and support that I'm able to start pursuing this. Which is why I talked so heavily about my dating history. Is because when you have somebody in your life that is truly there for you, that is truly a rock for you to really start pursuing your life, you can take on the world. And this story really is just to show how amazing Melly really is. How she's been amazing. Again, this is where I'm going to sound a little selfish. She's been absolutely amazing for me. And I got so lucky to be married to such an amazing and wonderful woman. So that is essentially the trans story. Can I ask what told you you would be married? Okay, so at the time, so this is where for me spirituality really comes in for me. So it's like this. When I've gotten promptings in the past, actually, I'll tell you also one crazy story with this. This one blew Mellie's mind away. This is where, for me, this is where again, there's a reason why I'm a fallen angel, okay? You can't be too surprised when y'all learn that I'm Christian, I believe in God, I believe in that, okay? But one of the things that's very strong within my church, within our belief, is that we can receive personal revelation. We've been told that one of the things that is the key indicator is you feel this burning in the bosom and you just kind of feel like, again, you feel the spirit, you feel that warm feeling. And for me, when I was praying about Reese, I'm trying to remember, the author girl I was dating at the time, if we are going to get married, or actually, I think I even phrased this like, am I going to get married sometime soon? Am I going to get married? And the answer I got was essentially, yes, you're going to get married when you are 27 years old. And at that point, I was 26. I was turning 27 in December. So that's where for me, I got such a strong feeling that it was going to be when I was 27 years old. I was going to get married when I was 27. Now, and actually, the funny thing is 27 has just turned into such a lucky number for me. Because I was 27 years old when me and Melly were really dating. When we got married, we were 27th. Our anniversary is August 27th. Also 27. And so just again, the 27th year of my life was really good because again, I got to meet Melly. I graduated from college with a 3.94 GPA. Like 27 has always been a lucky number for me. So again, that's where just like it was crazy. It was so crazy in that regard. And now how I knew I was going to marry Melly is that, so again, like I've did talk about the girl, I think I named her Risa. Again, she was okay with me being trans. She was actually very supportive of it, but just again, was her just like not being fully honest. Part of what I do, like when we're dating, and the reason why I invite them to church is so that way I can go, okay, spiritually, are we going to connect? And when me and Risa went to church, that's when I had this crazy gut feeling that no, she's not the one. And I was just, and for a long time, I was just like, am I really feeling this? Or is it just kind of a stomach ache? And within a week or two later, that's when I found out about all of it, where she wasn't being completely honest with me, where she was flirting with a friend of mine behind my back. And even the friend sent me the messages from Discord, all that stuff. So when we go to church, I sit and I pray. I basically go, okay, is this the one? So when I did that with Melly, honest hand to God, when I looked over at Melly, I literally saw her in her wedding dress. I saw her in her white wedding dress and I was just like, okay, message received. Like it was as clear as day to me. I could see her in the wedding dress. She was sitting next to me. She was cute. She was singing the hymns, the whole 9 yards. But I was just looking over and I just saw her in a pure white dress. And for me, that was how I know it's like, okay, we're getting hitched. So, and it was funny is like after that point, Melly, like she's just like, I'm not sure about this. And usually like when I've talked to girls and like, okay, we need to talk, immediately I'm like, oh no, here comes the breakup. I just want to be friends. With Melly, she's just like we need to talk, but it was more on like, she just wasn't sure what was going to happen, what's going to do. And for me, I was just like, even if she didn't want to, I did everything I can. It's like, look, you have an out. I'm not going to force you into this relationship, but I do love and I do care about you so very much. And I'm here for you. If you feel like getting married right now is not a good call, okay, you know what? I will support and love that. I will stand behind you with it. But just, I think, again, we connected so much. We spent literally every day together. Don't get me wrong, I did that with the author girl too, but this one felt like, it truly felt like we were connected. We were truly bonded at the hip. So again, it was literally a vision where I saw Melly in her wedding dress and I'm just like, okay, message received. Got it. So whenever we had hardships or anything like that, I never had that moment where I'm like, oh no, our relationship is going to end. As soon as I saw that, I'm just like, okay, I'm in this. We got this. It was really cool. And now Melly has been by my side. She's been through all this. We are truly a team. Don't get me wrong. Again, we've had our fights. We had a crazy one this previous Sunday, but not Sunday, Monday. It was Monday. But I feel like we worked through it, and there's still some parts of it I'm working through it, but. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. For more content, you can watch my other YouTube videos, join my Patreon, or you can watch me live on Twitch. See you guys next time. Bye!